Hello, and welcome to another lesson for our pre-algebra. Today we get to continue with section 7.6, commissions and tips. First of all, let's go ahead and review a little bit the percent formula. What is the percent formula? If you recall, that is percent times whole equals part. And then let's take a look at an example here. If we had 24%, we want to find 24% of 250. How would we set that up? You have your percent, 24%, we convert that into a decimal, is 0.24 of 250. Of is times, right? And then our whole is 250, and the part would be P, and that's what we're trying to find. So when you multiply this out, P is going to equal 60. Now, another review here. Let's take a look. If we have a merchant buys an item for $50 and sells it for $60, what is his markup rate? So markup is markup rate times the cost equals the markup. And so our markup, well, first of all, he went from $50 to $60. He increased in the amount, the price, because he had to make some money, right? And so we would subtract 60 minus 50, and the difference is going to be $10. And that's the markup, that's the amount that he went up. So the percent or the rate is going to be P times 50, the original cost, $50, and that's equal to the amount that went up, the markup, $10. And then to calculate that, we would have P, you divide 10 by 50, and that's going to give us 0.2, and you have to convert that into a decimal, and we would have 20%. The markup rate is 20%. Today, as we go into talking about commissions and tips and sales, let's take a look at our first example. Okay, we're going to find the earnings of if the commission is 7% and the amount of sales is $3,750. So commission is the amount of, it's kind of like a tip, the amount of money that a salesman would earn off of an item that he sells. Okay, now if it's $3,750, let's say that someone is going to purchase a very expensive bike for $3,750. And the person selling the bike is going to make some money off of that. And that is called commission. And he's going to earn 7% of the amount, okay? And that's going to be the amount that he's earned as commission. All right, now earnings is equal to commission times the sales. Okay, so the commission times the sales. The sales amount was $3,750 times the commission. That's going to give the amount of earnings. So the commission is 7%, and we convert that into a decimal, 0.07. And you multiply that by the sales price, $3,750, and then that's going to give us the earnings. That's going to give us the amount that the salesman gets to keep, $262.50. The commission refers to a percent. And if you remember, again, our formula for percent is percent times the whole equals the part. Well, Sales is that percent, or the commission, sorry. The commission is that percent. The sales is the entire price or the whole. And the earnings, the amount that the salesman gets to keep as his tip, is going to be the part, the earnings. Now, our next example, find the commission if $3,000 in sales earns a salesperson $270. So let's take our formula here. Commission times sales equals earnings. So what is the commission? That's the rate. That's what we're trying to find. We don't know that. Okay, so C times the sales, that's the total sale price, $3,000, time or equals $270. That's the earnings, the amount that the salesman gets to keep himself. Now we solve for C, okay? And in order to do that, we would have to divide by 3,000. And here you can eliminate your zeros. 27 divided by 300. And our C is going to equal 0.09. But commission, remember, commission is the same as a percent. So you're going to convert 0.09 into a percent. You move your decimal over 2 places, and that's going to be a commission of 9%. In our next example, Miss K receives a 6% commission for selling houses if she earned $8,340 for the sale of a house. How much did the house sell for? So we go back to our formula again. Commission times sales equals earnings. So in this word problem, look at what is the commission. The commission is the 6%. What's the sales? That's what we're trying to find. That's in the question. How much did the house sell for? That would be the sales. The earnings, how much did she earn? She earned $8,340. So when you plug that all in, you have to convert the 6% to a decimal. That turns to 0.06. Okay, times the sales, which we don't know, that's why it's S, is equal to the earnings, the amount that she earned, $8,340. So our sales, we're going to divide by 0.06. And remember, when you divide, you're going to have to move your decimal over and add 2 zeros to this and move the decimal over. And the final sales was $139,000. That was the sale price of the house. The house sold for $139,000. Now, obviously, that was not a house that was sold here in San Francisco or even in California. So that was a very low price for a house. A very good deal. All right, now let's take a look at a couple of examples here, okay? To find the earnings, remember our formula, commission times the sales equals the earnings. So let's suppose we have a sales of $850. The commission is 25%, okay? And you want to find the earnings. So you convert your 25% to 0.25 times $850 right there. That's going to equal the earnings. So how much is the earnings? $212.50. Here, if you have a sales of $9,600 and the commission was 12.5%, then you plug that into our formula. 12.5%, when you convert that, you have to move your decimal over 2 places. It's going to be 0.125. And then times 9,600 And then that's going to give us our earnings of $1,200. Let's say we have a sales of $8,500. Now the earnings, you're given that, and you want to find the commission. The earnings is $1,275. So you're going to plug that in to our formula, and we want to find the commission. You find, if you divide 1,275 divided by 8,500, okay, you're going to end up with a decimal, 0.15. So you convert that 0.15 into a percent. You move your decimal over 2 places, turns into a percent, and then you have 15% as your commission. Now let's take a look at this one. If our sales was $12,500, the earnings was $2,125, then we plug that into our formula so that we can calculate the commission. And the commission will give us 0.17 when you divide these two numbers, 2,125 divided by 12,500. It's going to give us 0.17. So then we move our decimal over 2 places, and you get 17%. And that is the commission for this sales. Now, if we're given the amount of earnings and the commission, we can also calculate the sales, the total sales. So let's say we have earnings of $1,665 and the commission was at 9%, okay? So you take your commission, you convert it into a decimal, 0.09. You're going to multiply that by the sales, which we don't know, and that's going to equal our earnings, 1,665. So you divide here by 0.09. And remember, when you divide, you're going to have to move the decimal over here. You're going to add 0.00, add 2 more zeros here. And then that's going to give us our sales, which is $18,500. Now, for this last one, example problem, if our earnings was $322.50, and then let's say our commission was 15%, okay? So you're going to plug your numbers back into your formula, and again, we have to convert the 15% into a decimal, so that's why we get 0.15. You multiply that by the amount of sales, which is what we're trying to find, and that's going to be equal the earnings, 322.50. I would leave the 0.50 right here because you're going to need that when you divide by 0.15. Divide by 0.15. You're going to move the decimal over 2 places. Same thing with the 0.15. It's going to become 15. And so then you're going to end up with 32,250 divided by 15. And your sales is going to be $2,150. Now, we're going to